we have a lot of investment that goes into serving our members. And so when you're talking about, we have at least eight times more poles, 8 times more wire that we have to keep in place, and that much more driving time for the guys when they need to fix stuff. And so the effect that has on us operationally is that we need to be very, very focused on keeping our generation costs and our transmission costs as low as possible, because our distribution costs, the cost of owning those wires and keeping them in place, are always going to be high because we have so much more infrastructure than the typical utility does. And so this is to give you some quick background here on where we're coming from when we talk about these sort of projects. And so, having said that, when we approach solar and other renewables, historically, we've always looked at it from an economic point of view. And the reason for that is because we're member governed, and the voices that we've always heard from our members historically has been, keep the lights on and keep the prices as low as possible. And so we've done that. And historically, of course, keeping the prices as low as possible has meant keeping renewables not as much of a portfolio. But that has been changing. And of course, more and more, especially in the last 10 years, we've been hearing calls more and more for renewables, especially solar. And of course, we've always been keeping our eye on the prices for things because we want to keep our costs low for our members. And we've seen these solar costs dropping. And of course, it's come to the point now where prices are low enough that we can reach out to our members and say, if this is something you want to be a part of, we want to work with you on it and try to give you an option to be a part of it. And we were seeing lots of our members that say, we want to be solar, but for whatever reason, we don't necessarily have the means of going into it. Mark and others touched on this, but we have members who might have their house surrounded by trees. Obviously, they don't have a good option. We've got members who don't own their own homes. That's not an option for rooftop solar. And of course, we all love solar in this room, I know that, but some people have really nice looking houses. They're just not really sure how it's going to look once they throw some panels up on it. So those are some small things, but of course, beyond that, you get into the implications of whether or not you're going to own or sell your home soon, liability concerns, aesthetics, how old your roof is. There's tons and tons of questions that people ask to, and all this points to some sort of community solar program where you can allow your members to sign up for something and treat the system as if it's their own, but they don't actually have to have the requirement of having it on their roof. And so this is the question we asked ourselves: what would a cooperative solar program look like? And of course, it has to be cost effective. We want it to cost as least as possible. It's got to be open to all members. But the third key is important when we talk about our co-op principles, is that it's got to be voluntary participation. Our costs for buying generation are still such that it costs us less to get power from other resources than it does from solar. If that were not true, we'd love to be painting Ohio with solar panels already, but we're not quite there yet. And so we want to make sure that this program is voluntary so that only the members who want to be a part of it and want to take the risk that the cost for solar over a 25-year span are going to be less than the other costs. We want to make sure that's open to them, but the other members who don't want to stick their necks out for it don't have to. That's very important to us as a co-op. And so this leads us, of course, to community solar. And this is something I don't need to explain to the people in the room because I think everyone here understands how this works. We're essentially trying to create a model where we just take the panels off the roofs of members and put it into a central location and see what that does for us. And so the advantages of community solar should be obvious to those people in the room. 3 of these are mainly functional, of course. You get your economies of scale. By doing a strong centralized location, we can get the cost down to almost half of what it would be for a typical average rooftop installation. We get an optimized installation. We're not limited by roof angles, by shading, or by anything else. We can put this in an open field, point in the right way, and there we go. I'm going to jump down to the 4th, professional O&M. This isn't something where we have to worry about homeowners. They might not consider this a lot of times, or they might think that they'll take care of it themselves. In this case, this is something we can offer our members. We're energy experts. If we're not going to do it ourselves, we at least are comfortable with calling the right people around the state who really know what they're doing to take care of this stuff. This third point, I think, is the important one again, though, is that this can be available to everyone. Because it's not limited to rooftops or land ownership, we can get renters. They can participate in this. If we have members who don't have a lot of money but really want to go solar, they're not limited by how much money they have in their bank account and are willing to spend. They can sign up for it. This is something that's very, very important to us as a co-op, is being able to offer this to anyone who wants to participate. And so that's where we get to OurSolar. This is just a community solar program, but this is our way of branding it. We like it. Hope you guys think it's okay.